Hey everyone, this is Karyn from Our Sufficient Life. You have stumbled upon part 3 of our beekeeping crash course from my cousin Jody, who gifted us her beekeeping equipment. You're going to get to see in this part her talking about pests, predators, how to handle it when your bees want to swarm or if they've already swarmed, and also we're going to learn how her bees actually died. Here we go.
So what animals are
your problems?
would be a problem for hives?
Well, definitely mice,
Okay.
but only in the wintertime. They don't seem to mess with it any other time. And the reason they're messing with it in the wintertime is it's a warm place to go, like going in your basement or anything.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason they mess with it. And they don't, I haven't seen a lot of damage. What they'll do is they'll take a corner. They'll do that. That's why you put the mouse guard as the weather starts to get cold, you go out there and put the mouse guard. It's never too early to put a mouse guard on. The other things, I have heard skunks mess with them. I have heard raccoons mess with them. I have never had skunks mess with them. I've never had raccoons. Possums, the skunks, if you see scratches on your bottom board here, if you come out here and you've got scratches on here,
Yep.
you probably had a skunk trying to get in.
Okay.
So, and if that's the case, if you start seeing stuff like that, they can't get in. But I would put a ratchet over them to make sure that they can't somehow
A
knock
ratchet
it down.
strap, yeah.
Yeah, I would just make sure that they can't get it open.
Yeah.
You know, other than that, they can't really do anything. Possums eat the fleas, so they don't do anything. You're going to see dug up grass in front of it. I never had the biggest, I think your biggest threat is robbing. And that's either another hive trying to get in and get them. And there's special, I never had a problem with it, but many people do. There is a special opening cover that you can get that makes it so the bees have to kind of go down. It's like this big, I think, or so. And it makes it so the bees have to come up here and go down behind it to get in. Therefore, these bees in here can protect what's coming in better. It makes it harder for them to get in, just like flipping the thing. And so that and yellow jackets, other beehives and yellow jackets. But as a general rule, and then the other only big thing is if they get too crowded or they don't like their conditions, they may swarm.
Yeah.
And if they swarm and you see them do it, you can probably catch a swarm. What you want to do is you want to keep a free box somewhere, or even one of these nuke boxes, and throw some frames in there. And you get below the swarm, and my understanding, and I have never heard anybody get stung by a swarm, they are extremely docile at that time. And so you want to just knock them down out of the tree, cut the branch of the tree, get it down, whatever, put it in the box, make sure you got the queen there, and they generally will stay.
We were watching that series. I don't know if it was Mountain Men or what, but anyway, they had bees and they had to deal with some swarms.
Yeah. And they just do that. They don't like their house, so they leave.
Well, the way they were explaining too was sometimes they'll swarm because they have another queen.
Yes,
and they want to start another.
Well, what
colony.
they'll do is, let's say I've got Beatrice and Georgia Bell here. Let's say Beatrice isn't working up to par. So the worker bees, they make another queen. What they do is they lay an egg, and you'll see on the frames, there might be a thing that looks kind of the size of a finger.
Yeah.
And it's got an opening on the bottom. It's called a queen cell. And they put royal honey in there, royal jelly in there, and that's what they make a queen with. So if you ever go in there and you're looking at it, and your hive looks good, but you see one of those cells, you just break it off. You just don't let them do it. You know, I've never had mine swarm. Never. And I had people telling me they had swarms here. I'm like, I never had mine, what they call abscond, which is just take off for high heaven and leave it all. I've never had them do that either. But, you know, I don't think they had plenty to do around me. We had fields like this. They had plenty of flowers to go after, pollen to find, and they didn't have anybody bugging them. And I was telling Karyn in the beginning, you might want to look at them to learn, maybe once a week, but I would say once every 2 weeks to look at them. But once you get established, I would say once a month.
So just leave them alone.
The less you mess with them, the better off you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I've never had problems. It's because I would only go out like once a month. unless it was getting times for the flow and I want to see who's doing what. And I'm not saying don't go out and watch them. You can go out and look at them, or maybe even pop the top lid, but don't pull the frames out. The more you pull frames out, the more they have to redo. Because you saw some of those frames where they were hooked together across the top.
Yep.
Every time you pull that apart, you're making a mess for them, and they have to work to do that. And if you're looking towards fall, they can't spend all that time
Gathering
working
food.
on that and fixing the hive and fixing their stores for the winter too. So that's why you want to make sure that you extract no later than August, because then they've got September, October to rebuild and to fix their stores and get everything that they think they need to make it through the winter.
Yeah.
And then that's why I put the sugar on top. And I put the sugar on top after Thanksgiving, close to the beginning of December. I would just, at that time you're no longer, and in this time, October, into September, October, you're feeding them the liquid sugar. And then when it starts to get so cold that you fear that liquid sugar may freeze, that's when you want to get rid of it. Because any of that moisture is going to affect your bees. Anything that might go down, moisture might go down, is going to affect your bees. It's going to kill them. So that's when you take that off, put that solid one on, put the quilt box on, and if the temperature is below, say 45, 50 degrees, don't open that thing unless you absolutely have to. And you can open it if you have the candy box there and don't go any further. Say you just want to see if they're doing anything, if they're coming up there, if they're doing this or that. That real quick, because if you get the cold in there, they don't have heaters, and their little wings are going like this, making everybody warm. And if you're taking away their heat that's in there, then you're just going to kill your bees.
So the mothballs, or the mothball stuff.
Yeah. What you're going to do is you're going to make sure your bottom is sealed, whatever you have it on, so nobody can come in. Then you're going to do about two boxes, whether it be a short or a deep. And on the top, the next box, just put some paper there with some of the mothballs on there, and then stack a couple more and another thing with mothballs on it, and go a little higher. So once you get it all on and you get a lid on it, you want to go around and tape the seams, just like they would. What you're trying to do is keep no moths from going in there and laying eggs. And so basically it's going to kind of fumigate the whole stack and keep the moths out. Because once you get those dang moths in there, you can keep the wood part of the frame. You need to get rid of anything that's got the wax, basically. And then you have a torch. And what you should do with the torch is basically singe the insides where any larvae may be and get rid of it.
Yeah.
Explain how you know how they died so Dan can...
See this all thing here?
Yep.
This is all of them clustering. They're supposed to cluster in here.
During the winter.
They got warm, and they came out here because they go to work on the outside edges, and then it froze again. And that's why they're all in little groupings.
So they froze to death?
So they froze to death.
Yep.
I was going to ask what happened.
And that's been the most common thing.
So, the insulation, I've been seeing some stuff on YouTube videos about insulating them.
That's what I was going to do this last year, but I didn't because of my illness.
Well, that's it for our 3-part beekeeping crash course with my cousin Jody, and we are exceedingly grateful for everything she has given to us. If you haven't seen our plan for building our homestead, I'm going to put a link to that video in the description of this one. I hope you guys are having a great day out there, and as always, see you next time.